Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Beacon by the ARC and United Cerebral Palsy California collaboration. This is a regular video advocacy report for California's disability community. I'm Jordan Lindsey, Executive Director of the ARC and United Cerebral Palsy California collaboration. We'll be bringing you timely updates on the policies, legislation, and decisions that impact individuals, children, and adults with developmental disabilities, their families, and the workforce that supports them. With Congress recently passing the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, which includes the largest cuts to Medicaid and healthcare in American history, it's more important than ever right now that we stay informed, connected, and ready to act. So through these updates, we'll shine a light on what's happening at both the state and federal levels, share opportunities for you to get involved, and work together to protect the essential supports and services that so many Californians rely on. Thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for all of your efforts, your voice, and what you do. And together we can and will continue to make a difference. So California's state budget. Today we're going to talk about the state budget that was recently passed, not the federal budget, but the state budget. And this was recently passed by the legislature and signed by Governor Newsom. What are some of the key takeaways? And also a more detailed version is available on our website that has all the impacts to California's disability community, and a link for that will be provided also. So what are the big takeaways from the state budget? Well, Governor Newsom, his original January budget was a pretty status quo budget, not many changes. However, because of a large deficit in the state, and then a lot of actions at the federal government as well, we in California had a much larger deficit than we anticipated. So in the May revise of his budget, the governor proposed some very significant cuts to supports and services that would impact Californians with disabilities. The two that really got the most attention were the cuts to IHSS, in-home supported services, by capping the number of hours that providers could provide, and then also to Medi-Cal was the second big cut that got a lot of attention by reducing the asset limits to a very low amount that individuals could have to retain their Medi-Cal eligibility. And of course, also reducing Medi-Cal eligibility for those that have unsatisfactory immigration status here in California. The legislature pushed back really hard on some of these proposals thanks to your advocacy efforts and those of other organizations like the ARC and United Cerebral Palsy California collaboration. So the final budget was a negotiation and a compromise, and where we ended up is still with some significant cuts and significant hardships that will impact our community. Also, however, before we get into summarizing those, please keep in mind that unfortunately, as a result of the federal budget bill, the one big beautiful bill that just passed, California is now going to have significant tens of billions of dollars less revenue each year to our Medicaid program, our Medi-Cal program, where we're going to now as a state have to balance our budget again because of the expected revenue loss from the federal budget. So it is very possible that more proposed cuts to disability services are on the way. So what were the major impacts of the state budget? Well, let's start with regional center services. What is a great thing is that we were actually able to repeal the regional center monthly parental fee. And so this is a final repeal of all fees on families to receive regional center services, which is what we argue was the original intent of the Lanterman Act, where there wasn't going to be any payment for any of these services. It is an entitlement. And so we finally were able to repeal that. That's great news. Some news that isn't great, however, is that in the implementation of the rate models, meaning all of the rates that all services now get at all regional centers, there was a provision, and this is kind of detailed, but a provision called hold harmless, which meant that if you were above the rates that were implemented, then you got to keep that higher rate for a while. And that was going to be, and in the budget, it got moved up. So instead of June 30th, 2026, now February 28th, 2026 is when those rates will be reduced down to what the published rate is. So let's go to IHSS, in-home supported services. First, the final budget rejects the May revision, the governor's original proposal to cap overtime hours for IHSS providers. So that is good news that that was rejected. So there is no cap on overtime hours. It does, however, create a new asset limit test for individuals on IHSS, which also will impact people on Medi-Cal. Again, this is much better than the governor's original proposal, but now the new permitted assets are up to $130,000 per individual and $195,000 for couples. And that will take effect in January 1, 2026. And similarly on Medi-Cal, we ended up in a better place, but still the final budget will freeze enrollment for Medi-Cal individuals with unsatisfactory immigration status, ages 19 and older, beginning January 1, 2026. It will also implement a $30 per month Medi-Cal premium for those individuals with unsatisfactory immigration status, ages 19 to 59, and eliminates full scope state-only dental coverage for Medi-Cal enrollees with unsatisfactory immigration status, ages 19 and older. But it did reject the governor's proposal to eliminate IHSS and long-term care benefits for Medi-Cal enrollees with unsatisfactory immigration status. Those are some quick highlights. Again, the detailed budget is on our website. And on behalf of the ARC and United Cerebral Palsy California collaboration, we thank you for being a part of this community and being involved in this last lengthy state budget process. We will continue to keep you updated on other changes.